Hello everyone, welcome to today's race. We are here at Virginia International Raceway. This is a bit later into the week, so a lot of people around me have more practice than what I have here, as I'm not really too versed in this track when it comes to GT cars. The last time I was here, I was in an LMP2, and that's going to tell straight away, as I misjudged the start being so far back here. But I'm just going to aim to try and survive this first lap. This is about my third race so far this week. And I know there has been a lot of carnage just because of how tight this track is. Overtaking opportunities are very few and far between, so people tend to be very aggressive, and especially on the cold tyres, as that Mercedes off to the right demonstrates, it's very easy to lose the car here. I'm going to try and hold the inside line, as that's my preferred way into this sector. Get a bit of a wobble on the rear end just because of the cold tyres. We now have this blue Mustang on our inside for what is this next corner, but I'm hoping I can hold my place. However, I'm just understeering too much, and I've got to avoid that big curb on this opening lap. The cold tyres on the Ferrari means 9 times out of 10 the car will try and spin if I go over that curb, so I have to avoid it, and that costs me time, which lets this black Mercedes right behind me close up. But we can see the cars ahead are still battling with that Ferrari weaving around. We're able to get alongside that Mustang that we were fighting with earlier, and that's actually going to put me on the inside now into the oak tree, so I just need to hang it in there. I should be able to come out on top. It's very difficult to go around the outside, especially on the cold tyres. There's a bit of contact between me and the Mustang, and after leaving the space, but we are able to come out just ahead as we enter now onto the back long straight, and I can breathe a sigh of relief as we've at least managed to claw back one position on this opening lap. But that may not last for long, so we do have the Mustang right behind us in the slipstream, so I'm going to defend to the right hand side into this first box. I want the inside into the second part of the corner. I'm already catching up to the cars ahead of us because there's been an incident there. We can see damage on that brown Mercedes, which is slowing a lot of the cars ahead of us up. So we're now right behind car number 1 here, Matthias, who we're going to be seeing a lot of in this race, and we're going to certainly be trying to follow him through, knowing that he has pace behind him as we enter onto the second lap. And I'm still under pressure by that blue Mustang behind us, so I'm actually going to go round to the inside here just because that's easier for me to defend. Matthias has tried to go around the outside here, certainly trying to use the benefit of the warmer tyres, but it's still very difficult even with that. And the blue Mustang has got off behind us. It looks like their tyres weren't ready for that kind of move, and they're off into the grass. That's at least going to give us some breathing room behind, so I can focus ahead, because we are nose to tail once again coming into this very twisty, demanding section. I'm still feeling a lot of understeer in the Ferrari, and I'm going to lose some time here just coming off the power, and that's going to give a bit of a gap. But we can actually see 2 cars ahead of us are side by side climbing the hill here, so I'm going to be watching to see what happens between the 2 of them. And there's been contact. Both cars are off, but we've got the Mercedes coming back on. I'm going to try and seize the opportunity here and go down there inside. I'm going to pass across the top of the hill here. Now just defend into the oak tree in case they try to send it back at us. And the 2 cars in front of us have also gone off, so now I'm just holding it really tight here. Be careful of their rejoin. That has now put us up 4 positions on this second lap, but that was one hell of an incident between the 2 cars. So let's have a look back and see what happened there. Now we're starting on board. This is the red Ferrari coming through the twisty section right behind that Mercedes. We can see the Mercedes had a big tank slap there coming across the top of that curve, which allows the Ferrari to draw alongside. But the Mercedes is not giving up into the hill section, and that leads into the contact between the 2 of them, sending the Ferrari flying over the grass, because there's no gravel here at Virginia, and only the tyre wall there to stop them before the end of the track. Now, slowing this down just to examine what happened there, because this is quite an interesting incident. There are times you can go side by side up this hill section, but we're actually going to see here, watching the black line on the tarmac, the Ferrari doesn't really turn in for the corner there, whereas the Mercedes does, and that, I believe, leads into the contact. Still 50-50 between them, but I feel the Ferrari could have done better there. Then we had the close call with the Mercedes coming across the top of the hill here. We were able to just to get past them, and what we didn't see was that they then got collected by the second black Mercedes, sending it down their inside here into the oak tree, turning them around just to add insult to what had already been a lucky escape from that first incident. Now we're on board with car number 1, Matthias, coming in across the top of the hill. You can see the brown Mercedes had a bit of a moment there, so Matthias tries to send it down the outside, but I think they both just completely misjudged that they are still on semi-warm tyres here and massively outbrake themselves, with the brown Mercedes coming off the worst here, coming into the tyre barrier, whereas Matthias was at least able to slot in right behind us. So as we're back into it, we have Matthias right behind me, and I'm watching him into the next corner, seeing if he's going to try and launch an attack to regain his position, but no, it looks like he is settling in, and that's going to hopefully allow us to work together here, because we're only on lap 2, and you can look ahead and see the rest of the cars are not that far up the road. The next car is only 3 seconds, so if I get my head down and Matthias has the right idea along with me, we can certainly catch up to them and do better than what we are now in P10. So starting this third lap, coming along the start-finish straight, looking for the board's left-hand side, braking hard just after the 2 board, now really trailing the brakes. I'm aiming to hug that inside curb and then get on the power, rotating the car carefully on power. You can see had a little bit of momentum on the traction control there. The Ferrari is nimble and quite easy to turn, so you do have to really balance it through this first sector. But now this second one is the real tricky part, just really trying to get the car turned in and then balancing it on the power, having a bit of understeer again for this long right. We're going across the top of the curb, but we have a big moment, nearly losing the back end of the car. Thankfully, I'm able to save it, but now Matthias is going to come past us. Not going to battle him through the uphill section. I don't want to lose time after that mistake I've just made, so I just want to settle in behind him and just focus on catching back up to that group. And that plan was going to get helped as the group in front started battling here. We're watching the Ferrari going defensive into turn 1 and then outbraking themselves, going quite deep here, so the McLaren nips up the inside as they should. And looks like they're just about going to get clear into turn 2, that left-hander leading into the next sector. But the McLaren themselves were then going to make a mistake coming across the top of the hill. We're going to see they go very wide, they jump across the curb. Thankfully, they were able to recover and rejoin, but they're now back down to the rear of that group. And 2 laps later, things were going to get a lot more serious between them. We've got the Porsche flashing their lights into turn 1. Looks like they're going to have a big send here, and they go straight into the back of the Ferrari, knocking them around not once but twice. And there's contact between the Ferrari and the McLaren as well. Matthias and myself are right behind them, but the Ferrari now with damage seems to have lost it coming out of turn 1. We rejoin just as the Ferrari is about to exit stage left. Another unfortunate victim from the incident, but that puts us back up to P10, and we still have that McLaren and the Porsche in front of us. So there's plenty more opportunities here. We're looking at a potential P7 if we can get past both Matthias and these 2 damaged cars, assuming they're going to be much slower now that they've got that damage. And now we just need to try and get right up behind them. I'm going to be a little bit slow on getting past because Matthias has to make the moves first, and they are certainly quick enough, but the delta difference between him and that McLaren has to be greater in order to get past them quickly. Otherwise he's going to end up stuck behind them here. And that McLaren driver is still 3.1k, so they certainly know what they're doing. That damage might not slow them around too much, but they are still wide coming out of the oak tree. And that Mercedes is very quick in a straight line. However, it looks like the McLaren still has the slipstream of the Porsche in front of him. So that's going to let him defend into the next turn unless the Mercedes is that bit faster. Matthias is certainly looking for it. You can see he's having a little look to the left-hand side, but he's not going to go for the move just yet. McLaren does break a little bit deeper there, going just past the curbing, and that is letting Matthias stay right with him. But you can see that there is very little opportunity, even with that sort of mistake, for Matthias to get past him easily. But as we're coming around the last corner now, we are again back onto another straight with a hard braking zone into turn 1, which is a good opportunity to get past him if he is close enough. But we can actually see Matthias is just a bit too far back, so the McLaren isn't even defending this time. Matthias still tries to outbrake the McLaren, but they nearly go into the back of them and end up going very deep. This brings me right up behind Matthias, and as much as I don't really want to attack him, we are now going slowed up by him. And again, another mistake into the third corner. He just goes that little bit too deep, trying to not lose the rear of the car, and this is costing us precious time. We are actually getting the cars behind starting to catch up, led by Gary in another Mercedes. He's just 1.5 seconds behind us, having clawed back some of the time whilst we've been fighting through this sector. I'm going to have to hope my pace improves, otherwise I'm going to be in danger soon. Onto lap 9 though, and we have managed to catch right up again to the McLaren. The Porsche's pulled a little bit of a gap. However, I've been able to keep Gary right behind. He's slow over a second and a half behind us. Now this is going to be the stage where I'm really hoping that Matthias will be able to get past that McLaren, so I'll be able to have a go myself and then hopefully be safe from the cars that are trying to catch up to us both.
You've used half your fuel.
Into the tricky section again, you can see Matthias is all over the back of that McLaren. Hopefully they are really starting to feel the pressure, which is going to lure them into making more mistakes. That's all we can hope for at this stage of the race, as it looks like that damage has not slowed down those two cars whatsoever. Definitely being carried by the skill that they have. Certainly something I can only hope to have one day in these GT cars. But we are definitely keeping up with them. You can see I'm right behind, a little bit too close coming across the top of the hill there. So I do lose a little bit of time, but the oak tree is certainly where I've been feeling very confident, getting the rotation done. And we can actually see Matthias has finally had a great opportunity. He's now side by side with that McLaren, and we're going to see if the Mercedes is faster in the straight line. And indeed, Matthias is now pulled ahead as the McLaren slots in behind them. It's going to be my turn to try and get past them the next lap around, but it's going to be made a bit difficult as that McLaren now has the slipstream of Matthias, which is going to help them defend. But we actually get some help here because they're both really slow for this left-right section coming up towards the final turn. So that's now let me get right in behind the two of them, which will give me a great opportunity into turn one if I can stay close to the McLaren and get a good exit out of this last corner. I'm just about there, but again the McLaren has that slipstream of Matthias in front of him, which is letting him keep pace in front of me. I just don't have the legs in the Ferrari on this fixed setup in order to catch up to him, so I'm just going to follow again into turn one, braking just after the 2 marker, really tuck in behind him just to keep close and keep the pressure on him, try to force the same mistake like Matthias did. That's certainly having an effect. You can see he cuts across the grass there, very dangerous as the car goes light through this long left. And again, just try and stay close with him. I'm very confident on the entry into this section. This long right is definitely the weakest part. The Ferrari is understeering heavily. You can see just how much I'm having to lift in order to avoid going over the top of that curve and having another moment like I did a few laps earlier. And all that has cost me a lot of time to the McLaren. So I'm just going to have to settle in over the next few laps and try to catch back up. On to the last lap now. I'm right behind him. This is going to be the best opportunity I have. He has a little bit of the slipstream and he's certainly feeling the pressure because he's going to defend into turn one. I'm going to brake later here, try to carry speed around the outside. I still turn in a bit aggressive, so there is contact between us just to make sure I do not understeer. However, that means he can get a better exit. Now into turn two, he's not defending it, so I'm just going to try and slip up the inside here. I want to make this as awkward as possible, and this is also going to now give me the inside for this tight left-hander into this tricky section that I've been struggling with all race. I'm going to be very careful, but I need to carry the speed here. I keep in second gear and just try to make sure there's enough space for him on that inside, and I'm just able to get ahead of him now. Gary is very close behind him, and he's also seeing if he can put the pressure on to get the position back. He is on a climb back, considering that he was the car we saw go off on turn one, lap one. So we're going to need his pressure to keep that McLaren at bay behind us as they come really close at the top of the hill. Looks like they had to back off there, which has cost them time. So now I don't need to defend into the oak tree. I can just focus on getting a good entry and a great exit in order to pull enough of a gap to be safe on this back straight. And Gary is still right behind them, and we know that Mercedes is fast in a straight line. However, the McLaren still has my slipstream, so he's going to use that to defend against them. We're going to see if that damage is enough to slow them up, because Gary will need to be alongside them into this next corner if they want to stand a chance before the start-finish line, because there's not much of an opportunity into that last corner. And unfortunately, Gary's just not close enough there, and we are still a safe distance away from the two of them, so I don't really have much to worry about unless I make a big mistake in this last corner. But I'm able to do it, and just a bit of understeer on the exit. However, I'm a safe distance from the two cars behind, so I can finally breathe a sigh of relief on the run down to the finish line, and we're going to come across in P9. A fantastic last lap battle between myself and that McLaren, which gives me a nice little haul of iRacing. Now looking at that move on the last lap, here I am into turn one, just trying to come off the brakes and trail it in so I stay nice and tight to them. I was carrying the speed around the outside. I wasn't able to carry enough, which is why the McLaren did get ahead of me. And you can see just how close we are as I slip down the inside through turns 2 and 3. This is a really key moment for me in order to try and keep him at bay and make it very awkward for him. And it was again very respectful that we were both giving each other space through what was one of the most tricky sections on the entire track. And this, I just about got ahead there, which allowed me to come across and cover him off. Now from his onboard we can see just how tight this was between us. We are literally on one edge of the track each side and also have enough space. I was able to just about carry the speed there and get ahead of him, which let me secure the position. So that is the end of today's race. I hope you have all enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, or maybe have a look at some of the other videos on my channel, and I hope to see you all again next time.